When adults say things like, be mature, act your age, you're in fifth grade now, we expect more out of you, what does it actually feel like for you as a kid?
I feel like from the perspective of all of the kids in fifth grade, they're like, we're still kids and we're still, our frontal lobe is not still growing.
What you know about a frontal lobe?
Book.
What book is that in? The puberty book? Welcome to Living in 3D Power, a space where questions matter, stories heal, and joy is our practice. I'm Dr. Amber Sessoms, and each week I sit down with my daughter Emma to talk honestly about life, identity, and the power of wonder. This season, we're guided by a sacred invitation. What would it look like if joy was our strategy, not our reward? Here, we discover truths long buried, discern paths toward freedom, and devote ourselves to living with authenticity and love. Together, across generations, we're learning that joy is not the prize at the finish line. It's the rhythm that carries us forward.
Hey, it's me, Emma. Welcome back to Living in 3D Power. And today we're going to talk about the hard part about being an 11-year-old.
How hard is it?
Very hard.
Very hard? Do you think it's more challenging being an 11-year-old or an adult?
11-year-old.
11? Why?
Because I feel like the adults think you're maturing even though we're still kids.
And that's the hard part. So the tension in between what we talk about, like finding your autonomy, like finding your voice, being independent, but also still needing a lot of guidance. And this was true, like even this morning, right? Like thinking about you wanted to make a decision and you felt like you should be heard. And because you didn't feel like you were heard, it kind of caused some issues this morning, right? But I think sitting with it and just even hearing what you just said just now, like there is something really challenging about being a kid because you're in fifth grade, you're moving on to sixth grade, and there's a lot of decisions that you can make or you're getting a little bit more independence. Like, you know, we can watch you cook on the stove or, you know, you can make your own food in the air fryer, things of that nature. You're washing your hair, which is big for Black girls.
Twisting it though.
Not twisting it. You try, but I was like, you twist in the opposite direction. We all have locks though, so you got to keep it in the same direction or they get kind of funky and like they can thin out. But that's a major milestone because I was much older before I started washing my own hair. So hitting those milestones and finding that independence and finding your voice and dressing yourself and be like, I want to wear this, and then we're like, you can't wear that today, right? So those things can be really frustrating. So I just wanted to keep this really short because daylight savings time, y'all, what are we doing springing forward? We're losing an hour of sleep and we're tired, which I think also creates some of the issues because it's only Tuesday. This will come out tomorrow, or for subscribers, today being Tuesday. We're still trying to recoup that lack of sleep. And we know what happens in this house if Emma doesn't get her sleep. So I wonder if that's part of it too. There's a lot going on in your body, a lot of changes. So sometimes we have big emotions and they might be like over the top emotions, but
Mood swings.
Mood swings. Listen, I might know something about that because Perry is over here. So I'm dealing with perimenopause and Emma is dealing the early throes of puberty. So it's quite fun over here. But I just wanted to keep this short because we're tired. And I just had 3 questions. So y'all that have been following us, we have an arc where we go through thinking about our framework, thinking about the power of discovery, discernment, and devotion. So I just wanted to look at those 3 things with you quickly, keeping this one short, and to hear your experience because I feel like if we had more time this morning and if we were in a calmer state, we all could have been heard.
I guess I have to wake up at 7:30 again.
Well, also just make sure we pick out our outfits and we kind of get some check-ins and make sure it's okay. But let's do the first question. First question, thinking about discovery, and that's really understanding your experience. So this is a lot of my discovery. So we're looking at it from my lens, like how can I learn from you? And also we can learn together. So the question I have for you is when adults say things like be mature, act your age, you're in fifth grade now, we expect more out of you. What does it actually feel like for you as a kid?
I feel like from the perspective of all of the kids in 5th grade, they're like, we're still kids and we're still, our frontal lobe is not still growing.
What
It's
you know about a frontal lobe?
book.
What book is that in? The puberty book? Which one was that? Sawyer
new
Renee
one.
Taylor's book?
The new one.
Do you know what the title is? We'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
But Emma has about 5, 6 puberty books, but learning about frontal lobe, that's very important because we talk about that a lot in school psychology, that your brain isn't fully developed. Did it say what age? 25.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I would love to see the new research with these COVID brains now that I'm thinking it's going to be closer to 30, y'all.
Oh.
But the frontal lobe, yes, and that's kind of like your executive functioning. So you think about the movie Inside Out, where they're all in their decision, where they're up there in the control tower. That's kind of what that is. So it helps you like keep things at bay. Like if you have big emotions, like there's going to be something to be like, ooh, let me breathe, let me find a coping skill. So that makes sense. So yeah. So I just wanted to be like, when you say frontal lobe, I said, okay, 11-year-old.
You're like,
That's a good one. And then I lost my train of thought. So my frontal lobe is a little messed up right now. My executive functioning. So in terms of like your frontal lobe is being developed, so what else?
and they're always like, you guys are 5th graders.
All that?
Yes. Yes.
And how does that make you feel?
Not good, because they're always like, we expect more from you guys. We're still like 10 and 11.
So do you feel like it's unfair expectations or too much pressure?
Both.
Both? How so?
Because they're always like, you should do this, you should do this, because you guys are 5th graders now.
And is it so you're the oldest? So you have traditional, y'all. We have traditional elementary school. So kindergarten to 5th grade. So you're the oldest now in your school. So do they put that pressure on you too? Like you're older and like people are looking up
They're
to
like,
you?
yeah, you have to set an example for the
Set an
little.
example. And are you still like, but I'm 11? Or do you see that as like a cool responsibility? Like that's an awesome responsibility to have. Like remember you were thinking next year, like when you were in 4th grade, I'm going to be the oldest in the building and that's going to be so cool. And now you're like, it's too much pressure.
Yeah, because they're always like, you guys should set an example. You guys are 5th graders. You guys are blah, 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 blah.
So what would be a better calling in to like saying like, hey, I need you to kind of step up or be a little bit more mature? What would be making more sense for you as an 11-year-old or a 5th grader?
I feel like we already set an example for the little kids because they're like, oh, they're older than us. But they're always like, if you guys do this, then the little kids will do it.
So you just feel like just surely you being bigger and older is setting an example.
Yeah.
So do you also hear that the adults are saying they're watching you? Like you kind of like, oh, wow, they see you, like the little ones see you. So do you feel like if they see you doing things that might be inappropriate, that they will kind of follow along and be like, oh, that's how you do things here? Do you think they would follow along and be like, Emma did that thing. She screamed in the middle of the cafeteria. We can do that too. I know you didn't do that, but I'm just saying. Why are you making that face? Did you actually do that?
No!
Okay. But I'm
did
wondering. Not she said, or did I? But do you think that's true too? Like they see you do that and they think, oh, that's
Probably
okay to do that. Boys?
The boys, they're always doing stuff. And I feel like the little boys might be like, oh, these boys are so cool and they're big. Let's do that.
So you don't feel like the girls will do that with the older girls?
No. I feel like us girls are more mature. But like when adults say, you guys should be more mature, we're still kids.
But you're saying also they're lumping both you and the boys together. And there is some scientific truth, right, that boys develop slower than girls. They're not, at the same pace. So in terms of maturity, but I think there is something to be said on being fair about what does mature look like for 11. Because the thing that you have talked about and that has one of our biggest themes when we look at the last couple of podcasts or how we started this, don't be a robot. And you say that, as adults, we start becoming robotic, losing our emotions, using our creativity. And when we see students like you still have that. But I do see, and there's so much evidence and research to show when you get to middle school, particularly high school, like middle school, you don't have recess anymore.
Yeah.
I think in sixth grade, they're still kind of giving you like a brief recess, but and in the sixth grade at our middle school.
Once a week, I think.
Okay. But that's also thinking about that. Like you're still a kid, you're 12,
Yeah.
and you don't have recess anymore. So there's a really stark contrast. You have gym, but you have that now.
Yeah.
So you still get the exercise. So we know with kids, one of the biggest things in some schools, what they do is they have silent lunches. And I'm like, oh, that's an absolute no for me as a school psychologist because you need that outlet. Like, or they're checking in my recess. I'm like, you need that outlet because you have so much energy to burn off, but people will use that as a form of punishment. Or
yes, they did that today. They were like, you guys need to line up silently.
in the cafeteria.
Yeah.
So it is hard. So some of it sometimes, so example for this morning, like how we were all kind of like agitated and irritated, right? So when you start your day off and it's already like, and then I can't regulate myself because I'm like, there's a whole bunch going on. There's a whole lot of up here. So when adults are already dysregulated, right, and we're so busy trying to be robots and like manage everything, the world's literally on fire, and there's so much going on that the smallest thing, if we don't do our own work, if we don't know how to calm ourselves down, will set us off.
Your cup is full.
Cup is full, and not in a good way, because we talk about the cup run up over, right? Like I want to be so full that I can pour into other people, but we're filled with
Like
so many responsibilities.
We read like a book, I think it was in like first or second grade, and it was like buckets. It was like about buckets, and then like you could like give other people.
Oh, bucket fillers.
Yes.
So you're bringing up a good point. So thinking about we all need things to fill our buckets, and adults, I would say, there's a psychologist, Dr. Rachel Martin, and she talks about, recently she said she upset someone because she offended them because she was like, my kids aren't my entire world. Like I have an identity outside of my kids because if you pour everything into your kids, you have nothing left for yourself. And I might be paraphrasing, so Dr. Martin, if I got that wrong, I apologize. But I took away that sentiment about if my identity is so attached to being a mom or being a psychologist or being an educator or whatever.
You still need your time.
You still need your time, but there's so many things pulling me in different directions that the smallest thing, like one more thing, is going to set me off. So I think about that in schools and cafeterias where that's your downtime and you can let loose. You need that too, because one of the things that you said before.
We're not allowed to talk when we like learning lessons, and then that's like basically the whole morning, and then we have that like a small section of the afternoon, and then we're back.
Yeah, I remember before you were saying that you were just like, it's this, boom, 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 and there's no time to be still. And I think there's something you said, so recess and lunch are those times. And so it might be louder. I don't know because I'm not in your cafeteria, but maybe it is. So you're saying you're admitting it's loud. But if you're already on edge because you have so many responsibilities and you're overwhelmed, that little bit, like, you know how I'll be like, the lights is too dark, it's too bright in here?
Yeah, you're like...
Or it's too loud, because when I get overstimulated or I get stressed, the lights and the sound become overwhelming. So I imagine if you are an educator or you're supporting students and it's a little bit louder, it's going to sound like, explosive to you. So I can see that from their perspective as well. But I'm thinking, like, how do we give each other grace? Like, how do adults be like, hey, what is, like, defining that for you? Like, what does that look like for you to be mature at 11? It doesn't look like what it looks for me, right? So even when you were upset this morning, I'm like, she's still 11. She's going through all these emotional or hormonal changes. So I'm trying to give grace, but I'm like, yo, I'm gonna need you to get your entire life, right? So it's all of those things trying to navigate. How do we support one another? How do we understand where we're at in our development? Or maybe like when you're up here, I have to be able to come down here and vice versa. Like we can't both be up here. It's never gonna work. So how do we build those times in throughout the day for students? We do it for students, right? In elementary, not in high school, like you have lunch. Adults are supposed to take an hour, 45-minute lunch. Most adults don't because they work through their lunch. Those breaks are important. I was talking to someone the other day. I'm trying to think of the country. I know in Mexico they do siestas. So they have that break. They are like, they shut everything down. There's another country where they do, cannot remember the country. We just had a presentation on this at Millersville, but they take 2 breaks, like a coffee and biscuit break twice a day. That is a part of their culture.
England?
No, it's not. It's near the North Pole. It's going to come to me, but not right now because my Perry brain is not working. Is working. But I think about those other cultures that are more quote unquote balanced. They build in times to rest, and we do not do that here. It's like do more, do more, do more, and we burn ourselves out. So you're bringing up some good points there. But shall we move on to the next question? Because we did say we're going to keep this long or short, but I start yapping.
I'm sleepy.
Sam, I'm so tired too. Okay, so the second thing I'm thinking about is how do we make some meaning from this together? I think we already did some of that, but we talked about the morning, and you said something really important that you said you didn't feel heard. So what helps kids feel like adults are actually listening instead of just telling them what to do?
I feel like if they communicate with you instead of being like, you're doing this, no other thing you can other do.
Give you choice.
Yes,
or
give you choices.
So what I brought up this morning in that, because when you said that, I brought up the example of yesterday, the day before, you made a PowerPoint. I don't know what it is with these last two. Maya made a PowerPoint. I think she was your age. Maybe it was 4th grade. It was during COVID. She made a PowerPoint presentation with references. I said, she's my kid, y'all. She had vetted references about why we should get a dog. She ain't holding up her end of the bargain, though. She was going to pay for the dog, pick up the poop. I'll make her wash the dog, but she don't do that stuff that she's supposed to do.
She don't pick up the poop.
But she literally did a whole PowerPoint. Emma comes to me, y'all, Sunday? I don't know what day it was. Mommy, I wanted to show you something. And what did you show me? I'm gonna put it up. I'm gonna put it up on the screen.
A PowerPoint.
You have to send it to me so I can share it with the people if you want me to.
My locks. I wanted my natural hair back.
Well, your hair is natural, but you want your loose curls. So what was your PowerPoint? What did you say in your PowerPoint?
I gave you 5 reasons why I wanted my hair out, and there was different things to help.
Yeah, and I thought you did a really nice job, but I'm gonna tell you the truth. When you presented it to me, I immediately had to tell myself, don't say no, don't say no, just listen, just listen. And at the end, what did you say at the end? What was your last slide?
It was thank you for listening, even though you're gonna say no.
But did you feel heard at least?
Yeah.
Why do you think you felt heard yes or the other day as opposed to today?
Because I feel you didn't interrupt me.
I had to tell myself, girl, quiet. Because I know I think at one point I was trying to fix my face and you were like, I can stop. I was like, no, keep going.
You're like,
no, it's fine. So what made you feel like, you said because I allowed you to talk. And so the difference would be this morning, it's you're not doing that and there was no room for discussion. Yeah. Is that the difference? Yeah. If you allow some time, but there was also no time for discussion. So we had to make a quick decision. But I think that is really valid. And so one of my suggestions to you was even coming back and circling back to talk about it. Do you write something? Because you've done that before with the lunch lady. You wrote down how you felt. You showed me a PowerPoint about your rationale for why you want to cut your locks out. And I'm like, and what was my response though?
You said no, but in a very kind way. You're you gave me reasons why the answer was no. You were because it was difficult. It was difficult to manage.
I appreciate that. So you felt heard, and I think this is the thing in leadership that we talk about where if leaders are transparent, leaders have conversations, then even if you don't like the decision, then you can understand the rationale and the reason why. And because I think there were some gaps, and I was trying to pull Maya into the conversation. I'm like, Maya, what was your experience when your hair was loose? And she was like, I don't remember. I don't know when Maya got locks. I think she was in elementary school. I don't remember. But the things that I was saying is, and I have been natural since 2000, so I'm going 26 years now. But I was trying to explain to you, I was like, there are, the detangling, the time commitment, the products, the learning your hair. At 11, I think it would be challenging, but it wasn't a no forever. It was just not right now. And I think that helps you to be even understand oh, I didn't realize that it was more challenging than I thought. Because you gave some good rationale. You just have to do this part for me, mommy. I can do the rest. But I think like we reached a common ground, and like maybe we can find some other styles for your hair or whatever we can do, because your hair is goals to me. So one day when you're old enough,
I said in one slide that I could give you my hair.
but ours aren't the same. Like mine are too thick, so I can't put yours in mine. So for those of you who don't know, you can actually take someone else's locks if it's the same, density or thickness, and crochet them into your hair. We did that when we cut Maya's locks and put them in JoJo's hair. Yes. So I appreciate that you were like, even though you said no, you said it kindly. And so thinking back to this morning, how it was more abrupt and how that caused an issue. That makes sense. I appreciate that. Okay. So the last one we have is moving towards that repair and understanding. And we're already kind of talking through that. If adults are trying to keep kids safe or, saying this is best for you, but you also want your independence, what do you think is the best way adults and kids can figure that out together?
Talk about a solution that both of you guys like.
So you think that can happen in real time? Do you think sometimes maybe you need some space, like I'm going to go and think about this and come back with some solutions like a PowerPoint? Sometimes it could happen in real time, and sometimes it's like, okay, I got to revisit this right now. But I think that makes sense, and it can look different. But I think we modeled that the other day. Today was different. And we also have to give ourselves grace. Like, not every day is going to be great and everyone feels heard. But the biggest thing is to name that I don't feel heard right now. And then we got to do the work to be like, okay, let me calm myself down and understand why you don't feel heard so that this doesn't happen again. Or that we can just apologize and be like, okay, sorry, I didn't hear you. I apologize for making you feel unseen, unheard. Because both of us share that need of feeling seen, heard, and valued. And when we talked about this at NASP, and I said, why did you feel that was important to bring other students in when other students were feeling disrespected or disregarded in the cafeteria? Or you brought it up for yourself and you said, but other people feel that way, and you don't like people to feel like that. And you know how that feels for you. So I think we do share that in common. So I think it's important to honor how would it feel for me to have that level of empathy, and to make sure that doesn't continue to happen. And when it does happen, that you can say, hey, like that was a pain point. Like that kind of hurt my feelings, or I didn't like that. And that's okay. And it's my job to not get defensive when you say that, because your feelings are valid. And my goal is to be a better human so I don't dehumanize you, right? That is the goal. So we wanted to keep this short because we're tired. And today was a hard morning. We didn't get started on the right foot, but tomorrow might be better. We'll give ourselves grace. Can't even talk because I'm tired. But do you want to close us out with some chicken nugget wisdom or any final reflections, or maybe a challenge you have for the caregivers, adults in the space, and even maybe kids your age?
Listen to your children's feelings.
Yeah, I think that's really important. You got to listen better. And to be a better listener, we got to listen to ourselves too. Like, what am I feeling? And how do I regulate my emotions when you say something, do something that might want to set me off? How do I, let me take a moment before I respond. And then you can be a better listener when you can be grounded. So you know how this morning I was like, you had to breathe so you can come back down and then you can hear. But when you're up here, you can't hear anything. So we have to do a better job of listening, creating the space, the pause to listen, and actually getting some sleep, hydrating. What else do we need? Eating properly, not a lot of sugar. Thanks, Aunt Florence, for the donuts, though. And we will see y'all next time. I hope this was helpful. I hope you share it with your loved ones, your kids. Have the conversation, ask the same questions, see what you get, and let us know in the comments. Bye.
I'm so glad you joined me and Mommy for this episode of Living in 3D Power. I hope you like it. Now do me a favor before you leave. Subscribe to our Substack and make sure you subscribe to wherever you listen to podcasts too. And hey, do me another favor. Share this episode with a friend or family member. If something we said made you laugh, made you smile, or it might mean something to them, just send it away. Okay, one more favor. That's a lot of favors, I know. Head over to the comments on our social media. Tell us what made you say That's deep, bro. Because your words encourage other people and they encourage us to. See you next time.